Hey, did you catch the Piers Morgan, Andrew Tate?
I did. I actually just finished listening to it this morning because there were some clips that were going around, and then the full interview dropped from what I could see this morning. So I just wrapped up listening to it like half an hour ago.
What'd you think?
I mean, exactly what I expected. Tate was calm and cool and collected for the most part. I mean, it really reminded me a lot of conversations that I have on stereo with people that come in with a implicit bias and they already don't like me or what I have to say and they want to take things out of context. And the interrupting thing, it's just crazy. I think he showed
bullying was off the chart.
It's crazy. He showed a tremendous, and especially for a guy like Piers Morgan, who people would say is a little more based than most because of his show, and he usually takes the villain side. And I think he got kicked off, or he had to resign from one of the
morning show that he had to leave.
Yeah, he had to leave the morning show. He got into the whole trans debate and stuff like that. But it's really interesting that he was kind of taking that side now of saying, in this obsession with, are you sorry? Do you apologize?
Right.
Do you regret it? And it's just, is this what it's all about? It seems like the first 30 minutes, they were just going around in circles about nothing. Hats off to Tate. I mean, the guy is a class act in every interview, every interaction that he does. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's incredibly smart, incredibly intelligent, and knows his way around a microphone. So I get it, man. It's tough to sit there and have to take that kind of stuff from people that you could smash so easily. When the only thing separating you is a desk and some papers.
Yeah.
But I think the more it's been great for him, and the more he can get out there and get in front of people, the people that are going to hear what he says and they're going to agree. And even though this whole thing had this implicit bias against him, I think it's only going to be a net positive.
Yeah, I mean, he Morgan came at him pretty hard. There was a few areas where I had the expectation that Andrew would hold firm on points. For example, marriage. Morgan asked him if he would ever get married, and he was, I think he implied that he would. But he, in the past, in other podcasts, was vehemently opposed to it because it invites a state into your life. And if I'm not mistaken, I may be misquoting, but he said something along the lines of, I don't see any advantage to it, which is something I've talked about in depth for years. I have a chapter in my book on why smart men don't marry. So I thought that was a little bit of a deviation in direction, but I'm not sure if that's a new strategy for image or what that might be.
He was certainly the most tame I've ever seen him in any interview.
Yeah, there was no shirt off, cigars, sunglasses, masseuse, nothing.
So, and I think if you go back to the other interview that he did with, I think the chick's name is Chian or something like that, that chick that goes on. Yeah. But he even made a ploy to say, look, I'm doing this on purpose. I'm being over the top on purpose. I'm trying to piss this chick off because it's funny and I'm having a good time. Yeah. But at the same time, he's said these things and he's embodied these things as well. So, I don't know. I don't know if it's sort of an image thing. I don't know if it's but then he went on PBD, went on Patrick Bet David's podcast, and it was kind of the same things we've always heard. So it was a little interesting. And I don't know if that's network influence, if they're like, hey, you this shit's not going to fly. You're going to have to play by our game, which I don't think he's the kind of guy that would
There's been a shift. I don't know if there's like a new PR guy or a PR company, but there's been a shift in.
Well, he's even said himself. He's even said himself, right? Like part of the interview was like, look, when I was saying these things, when I had 500 followers, like I didn't give it. I never thought I was going to be the most famous man in the world. And now that I have 5 million plus followers or however many, being that I have this much influence, it is important for me to think about the way that I say things. And that's not, to me, that's not a pacifier. That's not pacifying the masses. That is understanding that there are bad actors out there that are dumb and will take the information how they see fit. So don't give them any more reason to kind of take things out of context. At least that's the way that I look at it.
Yeah. What'd you think, Jaron? Did you see it, by the way?
Yeah, I didn't see the whole thing. I caught the first, 10 minutes or so. But yeah, to mirror a lot what Moff said, I think, one, I don't really like those types of formats like on the mainstream news. I don't feel like they're really good interviewers, if that makes sense. Like for Rich, for example.
It changes the conversation. You have to water it down a lot.
You do. Like Rich, when you interview people, you give them the floor, you give them space, you let them talk, you let them present their points. A lot of times you don't even really argue with them. You just want to get the information out there. But everyone knows kind of how Piers Morgan's style is when he interviews.
Yeah, he's confrontational.
He's a Tate, but more mainstream. He does the same thing. And to be honest, I watched the first 10 minutes and he wouldn't let Tate get a friggin' word out of his mouth. So for me, the way I consume information, I don't have the patience for that. It was like, let the guy talk. And
it was very reminiscent of Jordan Peterson's interview with Kathy Newman that he did a couple of years ago.
Exactly that.
But you're saying that chick, the blonde chick. So that's what it took me back there.
Yeah. Yeah. Like there was a lot of time, probably at least half an hour, a good third of the conversation was spent over the whole comment about saying that having a preference for younger women is misogyny. And
absurd.
I mean, I would have talked about Evo Psych studies, just going, because like anytime you survey men from around the world, doesn't matter if they're 20 or 70, they all universally, I mean, you have a lineup of women from every age group, guys around the world, culturally, cross-culturally, every sort of aspect always pick something like 22 to 23-year-olds is the most attractive, right? So to suggest that, you have a preference for beauty and youth being wrong, it's just off the chart, dude. It's just
what's really difficult though is because if you would bring that up, it's like, well, I don't care what the rest of the world thinks. I want to care about what you think. So it's tough when we want to bring up examples and say, look, like this is a fact. This is the way the world works. Like, well, I don't care about the rest of the world. I care about you. It's like, well, that's the difficulty. So that's why it kind of gets off track as well, because like, I'm just interested in what you're saying. It's like, well, I have to set the stage and set the table of the way the world works and the way our reality is for you to understand, because otherwise the things that I say sound crazy. But then if I were to say, this besides the West, this is what everyone thinks. I think our guy is also waiting in the link, by the way. Matthew.
Oh, yeah. There he is. Hold on. So let's grab this dude in person.
Yeah. On that point, one thing that I don't understand, like we literally have dudes out there. We have dudes out there lopping their dicks off and saying it's okay. And we're celebrating transitions for teens in high school, which is completely unethical, completely immoral. We've talked on it in the 1% forum. Like a lot of us know people within our inner circles and our families that are dealing with that right now. But then when a guy's like, oh, yeah, I like hot chicks that are young, feminine, and fertile, it's like, whoa, everyone loses their goddamn minds. And it is insane to me. And I've never
okay when women have their preferences for height, money, and looks and all that sort of stuff. But like, that's the point I made in a video I published earlier this week, is that women are allowed to have preferences and they're never called misandrous, right? If like, I don't like short guys, or I like rich guys, or you have to have a nice car. I mean, you never hear anybody say, well, that's misandry. But if you express a preference for beauty and youth and fertility, then that's now misogyny, right? But it's just the way things are.
That's what I don't get. Like, why are people so emotionally invested in who I'm attracted to or who I'm sleeping with? Like, as long as I'm not sleeping with you, then I don't really care who you're sleeping with.
Yeah, because it's about controlling the narrative and controlling men. And the more you can soften and weaken them and take away their power and their preferences and shame them for their preferences, for example, the more control you have over society. It's that whole cycle of, like good times create weak men, strong men create better times, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. So,
which is fine. That leaves more attractive girls for me and Moff and Rich. I know you're in a relationship, but guys like us, I don't really care. But the fact, again, that people are so emotionally invested and outraged in my sexual preferences, it blows my mind, because I could care less.
Hey guys, I really hope that you enjoyed that short clip. If you did, consider supporting the creation of content by checking out my supplement line. Pinned in the top comment below of this video in the comments, there's a link to the unpluggedalpha.com/shop. When you click through, you'll be able to land over here, and the entire lineup is broken down by category that it performs best in: estrogen metabolism, fat burning, your foundational essentials for health, immune health, performance, and testosterone support. If you check out with coupon code ALPHA10, you'll get 10% off on your first order. There's also the option to use the subscribe and save model, where regular shipments will be sent over to you on a regular basis, and that gives you a little bit of a discount, and your supplement facts are always broken down over here. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys have an awesome day. And again, check out that link. It's pinned in the top comment below in this video. Peace out.